Hey, MacDowin here. Today we are taking a look at the Battle Android Trooper, or BAT for short, from the G.I. Joe Classified line. I want to send a big shout out to Hasbro for sending this to me for free. It was really awesome of them. This figure will be and has been available for general release and is priced at $22.99. As we transition to looking at the figure up close, let me know what you think about this figure in the comments below. Before we look at the figure, let's take a quick look at the box. Over here on the right side, it shows that the BAT is number 33 in the G.I. Joe Classified series. Here on the front and on the side, we get the pretty cool looking artwork by artist Muhammad Firdos. I think I said that correctly. I apologize if I didn't. But back over here on the right side, we have the BAT's iconography that kind of tells about him a little bit. It's kind of like a visual bio, if you will. Anyway, the BAT has training experience for missions in a specific environment and is qualified to use powerful weapons that focus energy into a destructive force. The BAT knows hand-to-hand combat and has the know-how to attack enemy bases and fortifications. If you want to read the BAT's bio, please pause the video now. Alright, let's take a look at the figure. The BAT stands about 6.5 inches tall and has about 36 points of articulation, which is a standard for most G.I. Joe Classified series figures. The figure has pinless joints over here. You can see there's no pins on the elbows or the knees. And because there's no vest on this figure, you can actually see the ab crunch and the butterfly joints pretty good, and they work pretty well, actually. I'm impressed at the range for the butterfly joints. You can see how far forward his arms come, and then how far back. Maybe I better do it this way. How far back and how far forward. He's got quite the range here with the butterfly joints, and they move really well. Because this is not a muscly figure, and what I mean by muscly is in the arms, then I really like how the bicep rotation works. The arm looks good, and the rotation works pretty good. It doesn't look silly. Like, I think some of the ones with the big biceps kind of look silly where they rotate at the top of that bicep. I don't know. I've always thought it looked funny. Now, there isn't any real hindrance on this figure, except for maybe here in the waist area where you've got the orange belt that's tied to the, did I say yellow? I meant the orange belt tied to the orange holster on his left leg. And what I mean by hindrance is he can move quite well, but as you do different positions, see if I can break him on camera, lift the leg, do different things, it might snag down here and will move this belt around. It's not really a hindrance, but just something to be watchful for. And as you noticed, I lifted the legs like that, and then when I brought them down, do you see that there's this gapping? It's because of the drop down legs. You want to make sure you push those back up so nothing breaks up in there, because sometimes this drop down leg area can be a little fragile, depending on the figure, but it can be a little fragile. I really like the design of this figure and all the little details. Like, you can see the kind of the detail in the forearms. You've got the representation of the electronics there in the chest. Now, the chest, I'll take a quick side note. The 1980s, the original version 1 BAT, we had a hologram, and several versions after had holograms for the chest piece. So it's a little disappointing that they didn't carry that over, since they're making this figure look so much like the version 1 that we didn't get a hologram. But it's still pretty cool that they at least thought to go ahead and carry over the looking inside, so to speak, at the electronics. So that's kind of cool. As far as accessories go, we get a nice little pile of accessories. I'll pull them out here. One of the things that is curious to me is this. It's a chest plate, and it fits right here on the chest, covering over those visible electronics, and now you don't see anything, and he looks less interesting. It's not even see-through. I held this up to the light, and yeah, sure enough, I'm doing that off camera again. Yeah, you can't see through it. There's nothing there. He also comes with a battle-damaged version. If I hold it here, you can see through the lights right here, there is some battle damage. So if you want your BAT to look a little bit more battle damaged, you can do that because he also comes with a secondary head that's a little difficult to get on. It's kind of tight up there, but it's a battle damaged head. Look at that. And the version 1, the original 80s didn't have swappable heads exactly. So this is actually kind of a cool update, a cool feature to have a secondary head. We'll pop this back on. Snap. You could hear that, right? Snap. He also comes with a gun, and that will fit directly here in the holster. I've had to push mine down, make sure it's really pushed in there. Otherwise, it only goes about that far. But really, click it in there, and it'll go there just fine. He holds it really well in the hands. They have the trigger fingers, if you can see right there. So they fit into the hand just fine, or the gun fits in the hand just fine. The figure also has a backpack that allows you to store the arm attachments. There are 3 of them. There is a claw one. Let me pull this off here. So there is a claw attachment right there. There are 2 other attachments that I have to be completely honest and say I'm not sure exactly what they are. There they are. I don't know what they are, but there they are. And I'm guessing there's some sort of like a flamethrower, a flame shooting device, and maybe a laser. They've got holes in the end looking like you could put some, what do they call that, burst effect? I don't remember what they call burst effect things to make it look like they're firing. Now, so what's cool is with this figure compared to the original version 1, I know I'm comparing it to the version 1 a lot, but when they make figures that are like an updated version of the original, I'm going to do some comparing. I wish I actually had the 80s figure here, but I don't. But anyway, what's cool is you can pop off both hands. And why that's so cool is the original version, you could only pop off the right hand and swap it out. So with this one, you can now just pop these things on. We'll drop his backpack. You can now have 2 different kinds of attachments on this figure. And then you would go and store the leftovers. Put you off to the side, you're in my way. The leftovers right up there. So put his hands up in the backpack as well. Just like it doesn't look creepy at all. Flip him around, put the backpack on, make him do a little ballet dance, a little pose. And there you've got new arm attachments. Very threatening looking. Now, unfortunately, it looks like this figure, Hasbro, the G.I. Joe Hasbro team, might have stopped doing something that they said that they were doing with all these figures, and that is making sure that all the accessories actually fit on the figure. The gun and the arm attachments and the hands all fit on the figure, but there's no place to put that secondary head that I just dropped to show off. There's no place to attach the secondary head unless you want to do that. And while, yes, you could store one of these plates on the figure, if you've got this figure up for display, I bet most people who are going to get this figure and put it on display on a shelf will not want that plate. And then you still have the damaged plate right here. Where does it go? So we can't put all the accessories on the figure anymore. And it seems like that's the same case with the Alley Viper. I hope these are just a couple rare special figures. I'm not sure why they would be so special, but I hope that's not the thing. Anyway, now let's get him ready and we will compare him to several other G.I. Joe figures and several other figures from other lines. Here's what the Bat looks like next to a Cobra Trooper and the movie version of Scarlet. Next to Marvel Legends Deadpool and Black Series Mandalorian. Next to a McFarlane DC Universe figure and a Jazzwares Fortnite figure. And finally next to a G.I. Joe Core basic figure and a Halo Spartan Collection figure. Overall, I think this figure is really great. It's another home run design, I think, from the Hasbro G.I. Joe team. It looks great. It articulates great. This figure is now going to be, at least for a while, in my top 10 G.I. Joe classified figures for sure. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you found it helpful at all. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.